It's one of my favorite songs. I heard it last year. Kenneth brought it to me. And I like it so much because it's not about a man. Let us remember something. Christ was before Christianity, but Christ was also before Jesus. Christ didn't come out of Christianity. Jesus was not a Christian. In case anybody wonders, we're not clear on that yet in this day and age. Jesus was not a Christian. And in unity, we really don't teach Christianity so much. More of a Christist mentality is what we teach. In unity, Christ means anointed one. And to me, what is the anointing except the memory of who and what I am, of the truth of my being? Now, the Jesus teaching is, you will do all that I do and even greater. Even greater. So why in the world would I sit around thinking, he's the ultimate? There had to be more than one anointed one. Since the beginning of time, there must be more than one anointed one. And again, anointed, there must be more than one that remembers the truth of their being. I would imagine everyone in this room has had moments of remembering. Moments, maybe hours, maybe days, maybe weeks, maybe years of remembering the truth of their being, of remembering there is no competition, of remembering nothing is against me. Not my body, not my money, not life, not the sidewalk, not the ceiling. Not even you could be against me. Not even God, not my feet, not my sinuses. Nothing is against me. We must, all of us, have had moments of that, of such abundant clarity, where we knew the truth, and for that time, that moment in time, we were free. A moment where we were free. I assume everyone in this room has had it because you're here at Unity today. You're here. I've had many, many moments of that in my life. I've had plenty of forgetting. I remember I was about 14, maybe 15. I spent the day at the cemetery. In our hometown, there's a beautiful, beautiful old cemetery. And I used to always, as a kid, always went with my grandparents to put flowers on the graves and stuff. And this one day, I must have been 15, I went with my grandparents and we did the flowers and stuff. And I noticed that the grave next to my great-grandparents had nothing. The last person had died in the 50s, and clearly nobody had been there in a while. But I had this spiritual something or other that day. So I asked my grandfather to just drop me off there the next day. And I hung out for several hours walking this beautiful, there's stones from the early 1700s there, and it's just a beautiful place. And I hung out, I was chatting with my great-grandparents, and I used my keys, and I dug up a couple of our flowers, and I put them in that one next to my great-grandparents, and I went and got water at the spigot, brought it up in my hands. It was just a glorious day. I really felt that I knew God. I was clean, and things were troubled in my family home at that time. Then I was in puberty, and mother went through early menopause. It was not a happy home. It was a difficult home. And I was the youngest, and I remember that night I sat with my mother and I said, Mother, I just want you to know I love you. I love my brothers. I love Mark and I love Kevin, and I just love all you. I had this wonderful, I was kind of high, and I had done nothing but hang out in the cemetery to get that way. And but I remember, it was wonderful. And then the next night, my brother came in, my oldest brother, throwing a fit with me about something. It was not at all nice. And I stormed off into that bedroom declaring how much I hated everyone. And Mother said, no, you don't. You said you loved us. I said, I lied. Because the ego came back to visit. The ego came back to sit for a while longer. To give me a good story. And my stories are all true. I don't even exaggerate them. And so I to realize, but there was something within me. That first day really stuck with me. Because I do love my family. I went on to love my family for years. And I still love my brothers. But that day of just a connection, a connection to something invisible that loved me. And I knew it loved me. I knew it loved my family. I knew it loved everyone. I didn't have unity at that point, never heard of unity. I didn't have any of this. I hadn't been to church in a few years, and we had a more of a fundamentalist background. And so I still remembered that God, though, that I could chat with and talk to, and that I knew this God loved me and really didn't have the judgments about me that I myself had about me. I want to be clear on that. That, the God of my understanding never had the judgments about me that I had about me. I always knew that if I could change my mind, I could be happy. If I'd just be willing to change my mind about things, I could be happy. And so in that, coming to, there's something in me. There's something in me. And I've had, when my grandmother made her transition several years later, man, God's walking around over this shoulder, my grandmother was walking around over this shoulder, and it really got me to a point of drastic healing, radical healing, choosing a new way of thinking, and choosing the unknown, the unfamiliar, but knowing it's got to be better than this. And then I forgot my misery and went back to it. Several months later, I went to Las Vegas where I was going to be a big shot and forgot a lot about my serenity and what have you. And for about 3.5 years, I continued to forget, and then I found a way again. I found a way of self-love, and that self-love doesn't come from the world. That self-love comes from within, because it is my natural state. That love that is within me is natural, and it is eternal, and I can either remember it or I can forget it. And I love that. I put a quote in your bulletin today from Eric Butterworth that said, "Within you now and always is the unborn possibility of a limitless experience of inner stability and outer treasure. And yours is the privilege of giving birth to it. And you will, if you can believe." I'll read it again. Within you now and always is the unborn possibility of a limitless experience of inner stability and outer treasure. And yours is the privilege of giving birth to it. And you will, if you can believe. So I'm going to read from my favorite book here, the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament. And it comes from 1 Corinthians. No, it doesn't. It comes from John. Chapter 3 of John. It starts with verse 1, and it says, "The light is with man, and the light is in man. But the light is not known by man unless he welcomes it." So do you hear your part here? The only way you're going to know it within you is if you welcome it. See, the light is not holding back. God's not holding back the light. All you need to do is welcome it. And one would say, well, I thought I had, but I don't see it. If you are insisting that the light show you are right in being wronged, you're not welcoming the light. Seeing the light and seeing with the light is to see that no true wrong has been done. There's stuff I like and stuff I don't like, but no true wrong has been done. All it is perhaps someone or something has forgotten. But welcome the light so that you may give birth once again to your treasure. So going on here, each welcomes the light by his or her own choice and according to his or her own choice. But to know the light fully, one must welcome it fully. When one welcomes the light fully, he ceases to be a man, and he becomes the light. For the light is a presence that denies the existence of man. It knows only the light. When a man becomes the light, he is the light, and he sings to all of the light, and he knows there is only light. This is what is meant by to be born again. The existence you seemed to have before is gone, as if it never was. And the new existence is all there is and all there could ever be. It is seen in all places, in all directions, and in all people, because it is truly all that can be seen. I'll go a little more paragraph here. To know the light is to know eternity. To know eternity is to know that it can have no opposites. What we're talking about here is putting aside your belief in death as a reality. To know eternity is to know it can have no opposite, and so it is to see no opposite, and to see only the reflection of that which is true. One who sees the reflection of eternity loves all that he sees, because all that he sees is a reflection of eternal truth, and that is love. And so, to take everything, absolutely everything, that disturbs you, that you have an opinion about, and give it over to Holy Spirit, that's what I call it. Give it over to your Christ mind. Give it over to your super conscious mind. These are all the same thing. They're different words. Find what you're the most comfortable with. But to give it over, because the highest mind is going to give it back to you in truth, so that you don't have to figure it out. Because if you're using the mind that created the confusion in the first place, you will just create more confusion. To use a confused mind to get clarity, it doesn't work. It just will not work to use that which is confused to create clarity. The old two rights don't make a wrong. They make an airplane, but they do not make. Did you not correct? You're not. Yeah. And to look. I got it, but I don't want it, Doug. Go back to your kitchen. Imagine desiring freedom more than desiring being right. Imagine desiring freedom more than desiring the thought of a competitive world. Imagine desiring freedom more than you desire a particular outcome to any situation. And through the desire of freedom, imagine becoming willing to experience freedom. See, nobody's withholding freedom. Nobody's saying you can't have freedom. Nobody's doing that. It's just a matter of, I am willing to experience freedom. Now, does everybody here remember the biblical teaching that will give you freedom? The truth will set you free. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Emma Curtis Hopkins, our grandmother of New Thought, said, if by knowing the truth one is set free, and one has known the truth and is not set free, then the truth has not been known. And so, if you're frustrated, if you think, I've done everything I can and I'm still not free, you have not done everything you can. And I'm guessing that if you've done everything you can, you've done everything but simplify your mind. You've done everything but just make it simple. This week, we're going on the retreat. We leave today, and we didn't have cat sitters. For the week, and I thought, what are we going to do? We got brand new. I've got kittens at home. What are we going to do? And I thought, at a certain point, and then I got somebody for 2 days. Somebody said, oh, I can do it for 2 days. And I thought, what about the other 3? And I had to turn it over. In the old trust, I'd say, what does that mean to turn it over? How do you turn it over? And I thought, I guess it is, God, I'm willing. Spirit, I'm willing, and I'm not going to fret about it anymore. I made phone calls. I moved my feet. I made the phone calls, but I didn't figure it out. And then Friday, somebody called me up and said, oh, I can do it for those 3 days. Somebody I trust, somebody I like, I know somebody the cats will like. But it's simple like that. I don't know how many of you remember the story when we sold our apartment in January in Florida. David couldn't go with me, and I had to go down and clean out the apartment. And it was being closed on the following week, and we had not taken out any furniture. We needed to sell the furniture, including a piano. And I thought, I don't know how this is going to work. I so do not know how this is going to work. And then our friend Vicky said, I've got the furniture sold for you, but he can't come till next Wednesday, and that was the day before closing. And the apartment could only give us a 3-hour window on the elevator to empty out a 2-bedroom apartment. And still nobody had wanted the piano. And every day, it's finally on Thursday, I was leaving Friday. On Thursday, journaling at breakfast, and I said, okay, Spirit, I need a favor here. And I don't usually pray that way, but I said, Spirit, I need a favor here. I need this thing with the apartment to be made easy, effortless, and profitable. And I went on about my business. Then I went to UPS and shipped a couple of boxes and got a phone call within 1 hour, literally within 1 hour. And it said, Shawn, we just heard from the buyer's agent, and they want to buy all the furniture, including the piano. Now that can't be magic, because I don't believe in magic. But I do believe in results. When I'm not resisting the way to be made easy, the way then can be made easy.
And they paid us more than...
Oh yeah, we made more than the other guy was going to do. And so I have to look at that. When I am willing for the way to be made easy, when I don't tell God how it has to be done, when I don't tell even the Christ mind, my superconscious mind, how it has to be done, then there are a multitude of ways for it to be done. I loved that the next day I could take my suitcase and walk out the door, because I didn't have to give another thought of anything there. I'm going to read this to you again. Within you now and always is the unborn possibility of a limitless experience of inner stability and outer treasure. And yours is the privilege of giving birth to it. And you will, if you can, believe. I believe in so much. Oh, it's okay. I'm going to talk about this stuff and get mad at you for that. No.
It was a test, Shawn.
What?
It was a test.
Oh, yeah. And I appreciate it. Thank you. I believe. But I'm going to tell you something. I started to believe it before I proved it true. I began to believe. Now, I saw other people demonstrating. And I thought, well, I've demonstrated lots of stuff in my life. Not necessarily through conscious belief, but I have a body. I have clothes on my body. So clearly, I'm a manifester. I manifest a street to walk down. I manifest people to have relationships with without trying to. So clearly, I'm a manifester. What would happen if I made the way for the stuff I think I can't have? Like a peaceful mind. Like the belief that I am good. Like the belief that the people I'm afraid of are good. What if, by giving myself the possibility of limitless experience of inner stability and outer treasure, I could have a really easy day. And an easy day turns into 2 easy days, and 3 easy days, and 4 easy days. And I don't need any of you to be different to have them. I don't need any of you to change to have those easy days. And we're not talking about good days and bad days. There are no such things. There's no such thing as a good day or a bad day. There are days it's easy to be me. There are days it's hard to be me. They're all technically good days. Capital G has no opposite. Has lots of stuff I like in it, lots of stuff I don't like. But to turn over both, what I like and what I don't like, over to the highest consciousness, the mind within me that tells me the truth about everything. I'd like to tell you I do that relentlessly. I don't. I frequently forget. but that doesn't mean I have to continue to forget. That's why we come here, to seek to remember more frequently and more frequently. That's why we're going on a retreat, to remind ourselves. 5 days go on. Remind ourselves through prayer, through music, through workshops. It's why we read the literature we read. It's why we pray. It's why so that we can remember more often than we forget. Everybody, there is good in you and me. And it is our divine inheritance. And we all can accept it right here and right now. What if I believed the Christ in me? What if I believed the Christ in me? What if you believed the Christ in you? Imagine how fantastic your life experience would be. If it's great now, it could only be where your head explodes. What could be better than walking out of here today and having your head explode with joy?
Joy, joy, joy.
It'd be a great way to get down the street. My head just exploded with joy. You'll have to excuse the mess. What if you believed Christ in you? And what if I believed Christ in me? My life's great, but I'd like to be aware that it's good all the time. Thank you.